Boo! Don't worry, it's me, Louis. I'm going to a haunted house with my friends. I've heard there are some pretty scary things in there. Ghosts and spooky noises and things that jump out at you. Those are all examples of things that frighten most people. It's just like how writers use language to evoke different emotions in readers. Edgar Allan Poe was a great and creepy writer. He was a master at using language to evoke certain emotions in his readers. You'd be surprised how seemingly minor word choices can add up to big effects. Certain word choices add nuance to the meaning the author is expressing. Let's see how Poe used nuance in his story The Masque of the Red Death, in which Prince Prospero hides out in his abbey to try and escape the Red Death plague. Poe starts the story by writing, "The Red Death had long devastated the country. No pestilence had ever been so fatal or so hideous. Blood was its avatar and its seal, the redness and the horror of blood." Wow, that's an ominous beginning. Not only does Poe dive right into talking about the horror of blood, but notice another careful word choice. He uses pestilence instead of a more common term like disease. The word pestilence gives a different nuance, a widespread disease that cannot be controlled. It's an important word choice that helps set the tone right off the bat. Later in the same paragraph, Poe writes, "The scarlet stains upon the body, and especially upon the face of the victim, were the pest ban, which shut him out from the aid and from the sympathy of his fellow men." Again, Poe makes a word choice here that adds nuance. He uses scarlet stain instead of blood stain or red stain. Scarlet, another word for red, has a lot of other associations in literature and in religion, such as sin, punishment, and sacrifice. So what does Poe accomplish with these and many other uses of nuanced language? Well, Poe loved to write sentences that evoked a nervous or suspenseful feeling in readers. For instance, think about how the partygoers' reactions to the clock increased the suspense during Prince Prospero's ball. He writes that when the clock chimed, the giddiest grew pale, and the more aged and sedate passed their hands over their brows as if in confused reverie or meditation. Poe's word choice is filled with impending danger, coming one step closer every time that clock chimes. He goes on to write, after the lapse of 60 minutes, which embrace 3,600 seconds of the time that flies, there came yet another chiming of the clock, and then were the same disconcert and tremulousness and meditation as before. Words like disconcert and tremulousness, which mean uncomfortable and nervous, evoke an even stronger sense of suspense. Poe uses suspense just to prepare the reader for what he hopes to evoke next, terror. When it finally appears, Poe describes the Red Death this way. The figure was tall and gaunt and shrouded from head to foot in the habiliments of the grave. The mask which concealed the visage was made to resemble the countenance of a stiffened corpse. His broad brow, with all the features of the face, was besprinkled with the scarlet horror. This is the moment when the locked-in guests realize the Red Death is with them. I'd freak out. In fact, I'm freaking out now, and I'm only talking about the story. Let's get out of here. Poe knew exactly which words and phrases to use to scare the heck out of you, and he did it in a way that built suspense and terror. Well, my friends are here. I hope the haunted house isn't as scary as the Masque of the Red Death.